This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. This is an interesting video. It's one you're probably going to want to listen to. Some weird things connected here, but I'm sure some of you have heard this story about Allison Mack, who is a TV actress on the TV show Smallville, has been indicted on charges of sex trafficking. Her arrest, which happened on Friday, was connected to the alleged cult leader Keith Raniere. The cult was called NXIVM, and the guy went by the name Vanguard. Now, I haven't read anything yet that's talking about ages on these girls, and I know anytime something comes out like this, we have to be skeptical, right? It's good to be skeptical. It's good to ask questions. It's good to go, why is this story coming out? Because there's so many of these sex cults out there. Now, is it because everything's going to come to pass and the light's going to be shined on these things? Absolutely, that could be the case. But you can also see how this story, in a sense, is being presented around feminism, around how this cult leader recruited all of these young girls, abused them, branded them, the same stuff you see, which I'll go over, which these secret societies do, but only targeted girls, didn't target boys. Okay, so they could be, in a sense, pushing the feminist thing, or maybe it just came out. Maybe God shined light on it, it came out, and they couldn't hide the story anymore. But nonetheless, Allison Mack, something interesting that I found just after doing some research on her, and I had heard of this story months ago. They were starting to release it in the mainstream, so I was questioning it, I should say. Allison Mack had made a Twitter post back in January, where she posted a photo of Marina Abramovich. So I find that pretty interesting, that she would post a picture of Marina Abramovich, who's involved in spirit cooking, who is a high-ranking witch. All these celebrities bow down to her like she's a modern-day Aleister Crowley. That she would randomly just post a picture of her as if she's a huge fan of Marina Abramovich. Right? Remember, we've seen Lady Gaga, Marina Abramovich, you know, the heads and the cannibalism she promotes. And like I said, the spirit cooking, which is, you know, throwing the blood on the wall. Just disgusting, disturbing stuff, talking about drinking, you know, semen and excrement, all types of weird things, you know, as part of this ritual. So again, she's clearly a fan. Now, Allison Mack, most of us probably don't know who she is. You know, I don't follow this stuff regularly. I do my videos when I see things, when people point things out, I watch it for them to do a video and cover it. I've never seen the show Smallville. I've never heard of her. But looking into her, she was an actress at the age of 4. That's when she started acting. She was taking classes in LA at the age of 7. So it's not hard to put one and one together. Because remember, the hardest thing to stop and what we need to work on raising awareness about is that these abused children end up becoming the abusers. They're raised in a completely different world than we are. Okay, we go to school, we learn all the lies of the world. We learn that, you got to go work and make money to live. These people don't worry about stuff like that. They print money. The Federal Reserve prints money. They don't have to worry about anything. They want to be an actress and they're in a bloodline family, they can be an actress or be a this or be a that. Okay? We're raised inside of a world where we see nothing but lies. They're raised inside a world where they're told that normal behavior is pedophilia. So when the parents are doing this to the children, when the abusers are doing it to them, okay, and these kids are getting put through trauma-based mind control, they think that this is normal behavior. And as they grow up, obviously they're no longer going to be abused when they hit a certain age, because these people who preyed on them are no longer going to want them when they're 17, 18, 19 years old, or even maybe even younger than that. Who knows, you know, the age preferences of these sick perverts. But then they move on and then they become the handler and they run inside of these cults and work with networking and trafficking children to one another. Now, like I said earlier, nothing has been revealed, as far as I know, as far as right now when I'm recording this video, about the age of any of these victims, okay? It doesn't say that they're kids, doesn't say they're teens, but it focuses on the fact that they're primarily women. Now, the group claimed to be a self-help program, but actually was a pyramid scheme where people were exploited both sexually and for their labor to the defendant's benefit. Mack was arraigned before U.S. Judge Cheryl Pollack. As alleged in the indictment, Allison Mack recruited women to join what was said to be a female mentorship program that was in fact created and led by Keith Raniere. The victims were then exploited both sexually and for their labor to the defendant's benefit. Over the past few decades, Raniere established a series of self-help programs in the U.S. It was a secret society called DOS, an acronym that stands for a Latin phrase that loosely translates to Lord Master of the Obedient Female Companions, or the Vow. Now, we know what the Vow is. You're going to see a lot of similarities as I continue to read to Freemasonry, to all these secret societies, to Scientology, okay? They run almost like pyramid schemes, a lot of them. It's all about mind control. It's about power, okay? There's even branding involved here where you could see the branding symbols. They would brand these girls, and you could see it almost looks like the Eye of Horus inside of a pyramid. But they would brand these girls, and I believe personally that a lot of these tattoos that you see on a lot of celebrities are their branding. You know, you'll see these weird numbers behind their ears, like NXPV, and almost like a barcode. I believe that's because a lot of these children are branded, and then they grow up and they become actors, or they keep them branded. They're all part of these secret society networks. Once they were abused, now they become the abuser. Remember that. The women were told they were joining a women's only organization that would empower them and eradicate purported weaknesses that the NXIVM curriculum taught were common in women. As a precondition to joining DOS, women were required to provide collateral, highly damaging information about friends and family members, nude photographs of themselves, and or rights to the recruit's assets. Now, this is how the occult works. And this is what people don't get. I always say this stuff, and it goes over a lot of people's heads. It's like the mob, okay? It's like stuff you'd see in a movie, but it's way worse. These people have dirt on one another. That's one of the reasons that nothing ever comes out. That's why a guy who might leave the occult or leave politics, he's not going to come out and out everyone because they have, photos of them with children, things that could get them indicted and get them into trouble. Whereas what they would have on everyone else would just be hearsay or, just speculation, or, they could say what they saw, but everyone would just view it as speculation. They blackmail these people when they join these secret societies. That's how it works, right? It's a pyramid scheme. Like the Scientologists, when you join, you pay X amount of money to climb up certain levels and degrees, right? It's not just about making money, though. It's about control and power. And that comes through trauma-based mind control. It comes through the techniques that they use in these secret societies. Now, Forbes even covered this cult a couple of years ago, talking about how students would pay up to $10,000 for 5 days of lectures and intense emotional probing in a 13-hour cram session. They remove their shoes for class, learn obscure handshakes, does that sound familiar? And wear patented color sashes in dozens of different variations that signify rank in the organization. Okay, so these are all things we know. We know the Masons and these secret societies, they use colors, right? There's color coding. A lot of people, there's channels out there that do a great job, talking about that, exposing that. We know they have secret handshakes like the Freemasons. That's how they communicate with each other. We know they have secret hand signs, right? And symbols that they use. Okay? So when a higher ranking student enters the room, they must stand to show respect. They are taught to bow to one another and to vanguard when he makes a rare appearance. Elvis-like, it's almost Elvis-like. Students rush up to him. Some ex-clients say they have seen him greet each one with a kiss on the mouth. Okay? The article goes on to talk about, to gain admission, they were required to give their recruiter or master, naked photos, like I said earlier, of themselves, compromising material, and were warned that such collateral might be publicly released if the group's existence was ever disclosed. Okay, now this guy's ex-wife has come out and said things about him, and that could be what opened a firestorm here. There's many things that could have happened. This guy could have crossed the wrong person. Okay, remember, this is a mindset that everybody has. You have to take yourself out of this mindset and go, whoa, they're all part of this. Human beings bicker with one another, right? You know how many times I get messages if I have an argument with another channel on YouTube that somebody who likes my channel might like, and, oh, you guys shouldn't argue. You guys should be... Human beings naturally are going to argue with each other. Have you ever had an argument with your mom or your dad? Okay, I assume most of you love your mother and your father, but it doesn't mean you can't have an argument. It doesn't mean you can't have disagreements. Now, this is a different level, but that's just being human, right? You argue with your wife, your girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, etc., your children, arguments, things happen in life. These people inside of their orders are so power hungry, okay? And they're all almost, striving for certain positions, certain levels, certain achievements. There's people that don't like each other, and these things do happen. They do have friction amongst each other. That's why I think certain guys, sometimes something will happen and they'll get arrested or something will come out on them, okay? It's not just some huge coincidence that all of a sudden somebody found dirt on some of these people. So either they broke a code, they broke a rule inside the Brotherhood, and they were forced, they were forced to pay the price, which is part of the agreement that they have when they sign up for this stuff. So as more stuff comes out on this story, I will obviously cover it. As of right now, I'm not seeing anything other than the fact that this actress was a recruiter. These girls would sign up and be told they're going to become actresses and things like that, or they preyed on young women who wanted to be actresses. Obviously, they were slaves. They branded them. They did all sorts of stuff. I mean, obviously, they ripped them off completely with their money. As far as the trafficking goes, more stuff will come out, I guess, in due time. But this is pretty standard stuff in the occult, though. I mean, this is good for someone to read and show somebody and say, listen, this is rampant. There's a lot of stuff that's not in here, right? They don't talk about Satanism, the occult, but you could see that Allison Mack is obviously a fan of Marina Abramovich, right? So, you can just connect the dots there. You can just look at the branding tattoo that they have. I mean, this is all cult-like stuff, but they're not going to talk about Satanism and the occult. They'll just call this a cult. They won't talk about Aleister Crowley's teachings. They won't talk about black magic and those things. Those things will never come to the forefront, all right? So when stories like this come out, it just kind of turns into, a crazy cult leader. And like I said, this is going to turn somewhat into more of, even though Allison Mack is a female and working in this organization, but they're going to talk a lot about feminism, right? About how women, don't fall for stuff like this and stand up against sick, perverted men like this. And I agree. I mean, everybody should stand up against sick scum like these people, right? But remember, the message here and what they keep secret and what they keep silent is always the occult. They will never talk about, black magic was involved, Satanism's involved. They follow the teachings of Aleister Crowley. They follow the rituals of Marina Abramovich. No. They'll make it seem like it's just something a little bit different. And remember, like I've said a million times, what was the first thing in this whole article that I was reading? Right? Talking about labor, sex trafficking for labor purposes. So sex trafficking, and then kind of just saying, because that's the thing. When they talk about human trafficking, they always talk about labor, right? They're making Nike sneakers in third world countries. This is an illusion they have. A lot of these children, they all they have to do is say something like that, and people just go, they're in a third world country. We'll never find them anyway, right? Because these children are normally murdered, right? And the bones are, they get rid of all the evidence. It's insane how obvious this stuff is when you're awake. And you realize we really are living in two worlds at the same time, because this is the true reality of what goes on, right? Hearing about stories like this, people can be like, what? It's crazy. Like, anyone who listens to this channel knows this is nothing surprising. I mean, it's awful for people who are victims of it, if it even is true, which I do believe it's true. But it's awful for, the women who were involved and trafficked. But just think about how many of these cults are where children are trafficked non-voluntarily. I mean, these people are somewhat, according to what they're saying, signing up for this. Not to be trafficked, but they're signing up for these courses, and there's so many cases of this where these children are born into this. They don't have a say in any of it, and they're just abused their whole lives. But again, Mac was somebody who was in the industry when she was 4 years old, right? And that's a common theme we see with anyone who ends up becoming a handler in these trafficking schemes. They start off in Hollywood or the music business at a young age. Their parents put them in. They're taking acting classes at 7. I mean, really? I was busy cracking fart jokes. I don't think at 7 years old I was interested in acting classes like I was going to make it in Hollywood. But no, this is always comes down to the parents. The parents do this to the kids grow up, the kids do it to their kids and the next group of kids. It's a never-ending vicious cycle that we need to stop from happening. And again, when more information comes out, I will cover it. I just want to make people aware of it. This is the world we live in, folks. This is normal. This isn't a one isolated theme where some guy was abusing women. There are thousands of these types of cults preying off of people. Scientology is another one, but that's obviously a known one. Just imagine how many we don't know about and how many children are getting trafficked, bought, sold, and killed for these disgusting losers that are satanic pieces of dung. I thank you for listening to today's show. God bless all of you and your families.